So I wanted to tell you that pro tip so you don't look like a newbie when you're going out there. A lot of people are starting out, do this, they will laugh at you. Hey, maybe you've heard of wholesale real estate, but you don't know exactly what it is or how it works. Well, in this video, I'm going to cover exactly what is wholesale real estate. I'll dive into how it works. But first, I want to tell you why it's so exciting to me. It was actually how I got my first start into real estate. So over a decade ago, I did my first deal. I got under contract at $328,000 and sold it at $350,000. Sold that contract. And it was the perfect start for me as a beginner to get that start in real estate. And now today, we've done dozens of wholesales, fix and flips, we buy and hold rental property. And so I want to cover today what is wholesale real estate, why it's so exciting, because it's impacted my life and it could impact your life in a positive way too. So first off, what is wholesale real estate? So wholesale real estate, what we have to understand, it's when you actually get a property under contract. All right, so there's a property, distressed house actually. You get it under contract to buy. Then you sell that to a cash buyer. And then as you sell to a cash buyer, you get paid what's called a wholesale fee, okay? Now, the important distinction here that I want you to understand is we're only getting a property under contract to buy. We're not actually selling the property. And you need to understand this because if you want to sell property, then what are you? You're a real estate agent. But if you want to sell a contract, then you can be a real estate wholesaler, all right? And so it's really important you make that distinction because you want to abide by the laws, the regulations. And so when you're selling a contract, you're a wholesaler. When you're selling a property, you're a real estate agent. Now, what's so cool about this too is whether you're just starting out, it's a great way to get started. But if you're fixing and flipping property, if you ever got a property under contract to fix and flip, and then you found out, hey, it needed $10,000 or $20,000 or $30,000 more in repairs than I anticipated. Well, instead of just backing out of the deal like a lot of fix and flippers do, you could actually find a cash buyer, someone else that would buy that contract and sell that potentially for $10,000, $20,000, $30,000. We've had wholesale fees like that. Sometimes we make that, sometimes we make less. But what you need to understand is that it's a great way, whether you're just starting out or if you're a fix and flipper. And it's the same thing if you want to buy and hold property too. Let's say you want to buy and hold a rental property and something came up you don't want anymore. Instead of canceling the contract, you can monetize it, all right? So let me cover why is wholesale real estate so exciting as well, okay? So number one, this is probably why you're here. You can make quick capital. So it's a great way to quickly close a transaction. So why is that? When you're wholesaling a property, it's going to be a cash transaction because you're bringing a cash buyer to the table. And you need to understand how the real estate process works, the normal transaction process. For the normal everyday home buyer, they're getting a mortgage on their property to be able to buy it. They're getting a mortgage from a bank. So they have to send them paperwork, they have to give them their tax returns, they can't go buy a new car, they can't do anything to mess up their credit when they're going to be borrowing a significant amount of income. So therefore, what happens is that whole entire process to buy a home can take 30 days, 45 days, 60 days if there's delays. But when wholesaling a house, you get a property under contract to buy, you link it up with a cash buyer, a lot of the times the transaction can take a week, 14 days. And so it's a quick way to make fast income in real estate, which is why we like it. Now, additionally, it's pretty beginner friendly. And why is that? Well, number one, little to no risk, okay? Now I say little to no risk. Anything you do in life, there's gonna be inherent risk to it. You go outside, right, you can get hit by a car. There's always risk to something. So there's little to no risk when done the right way. That's the most important thing. So when done the right way, right, because people are gonna ask, Alex, don't I have to buy the property if I get it under contract? Well, no, you don't if you have back out clauses. These are called contingencies in real estate. So when you know how to do this the right way, you're not liable to buy a property, right, that may cost $500,000. So that's how you can do this with little to no risk. Now, also, you can do it with little to no money. Why is that? Let me ask you this. How much money does it cost to put a property under contract? How much money does it cost to sign a piece of paper with your name on it and a purchase price? Doesn't cost anything. So you can put properties under contract to buy, then link that contract up with a cash buyer, and then make a wholesale fee. So that's how you can bring little to no money to the table, right? No money. Here we go. Now, we live in the USA. Of course, the more money you have, you can hire employees and the easier things can get. I'm not going to lie to you about that. The more money you have, you can invest in different softwares, things like that. But when I got my start, I didn't have a lot of capital. In fact, I was in school debt, I had credit card debt, and so this was the perfect starting ground for me and why I wanted to invest a lot of time into it. And when I saw wholesale real estate, I saw it as a vehicle for me to change my life. Let me tell you why this made such an impact in my life, wholesale real estate. So just so you know, when I was growing up, I wasn't a trust fund baby, all right? My parents weren't in real estate. They didn't teach me anything about real estate. My parents weren't entrepreneurs. So, and when growing up as well, my parents got divorced when I was about 10 years old. And my parents fought a lot about finances, and finances were always an issue. And I had to move a lot as a kid to find more affordable housing, and it sucked. And so maybe you're in a situation like that, or you understand that, right? We all have our own journeys. But when I grew up, I wanted to make sure that finances were never going to be an issue for my family, and I saw wholesale real estate as that vehicle for me. And for my business partner, Ryan, his situation was he was working a soul-sucking 9-to-5 job in his 20s and saw what the next 30, 40 years of his life were going to be like if he just kept doing that job. One, he wouldn't be able to live the life he wanted to live. Two, he probably wouldn't have enough money for retirement. So the great thing about this is it's a beginner way to get started in real estate, but also the better you get at it, the more money you're going to make, right? The better you get at this, the better real estate investor you're going to be, all right? So number 3, why this is so exciting, when done the right way, no real estate license needed, okay? That's super cool because to get a real estate license, there's fees. To get a real estate license, it can take months and months and months, especially if you don't pass the test the first time or the second time. It can take a long time, right? I've known people that have failed the test 3 times and they have to wait another year to be able to get their real estate license. So this way you can get started immediately without a real estate license, once again, when done the right way. Now, why also this is so exciting? No swinging hammers. So with wholesale real estate, what you need to understand is you're typically linking up this contract to buy a property with a fix and flipper. That fix and flipper is going to be doing all the fixing on the property. That fix and flipper understands the pricing of carpet, of the drywall, of the windows. That fix and flipper is defining the scope of work. That fix and flipper is managing their contractors. Guess what? You don't have to swing the hammers. You don't have to do that when wholesaling real estate. It's what you need to understand. You're not fixing up the property. Now, number 5, I'm a little biased on this one, but it's the perfect starting ground to become a real estate investor, okay? Why is that? Well, it's the perfect starting ground to become a real estate investor because you're learning every single time that you're trying to put houses under contract, distressed houses under contract. For example, if you get a house under contract and you send it to a cash buyer, what's going to happen is you're going to get feedback. They're going to say, yes, hey, I want this deal and I'll pay you $10,000 for it. Or they're going to say, hey, maybe this deal's almost there, and if you get it at this price, then I'll be able to buy it, right? Or they may say, hey, this ain't a deal at all. Well, what you need to understand is that you're learning throughout the process. And when you can work with a cash buyer and actually wholesale a deal successfully to them, what's that tell you, right? A light bulb should go off in your head that this was a good enough deal for a fix and flipper to buy it from you, to pay you $10,000 so that they can make a profit of $30,000, $40,000, $50,000 on it. So it should give you the confidence, if you do want to evolve to wholesaling and fixing and flipping, it will give you the confidence to become a better and better real estate investor. I know for me, it's given me the confidence to fix and flip properties. It gave me the confidence to underwrite and analyze deals, bigger and better deals. For example, let me tell you, I didn't invest into apartment buildings until I wholesaled and fixed and flipped a lot of property. And my first apartment building I invested in wasn't 100 units. The first one I invested in was 11 units, right? So I like to work at things in a smart order so that I can gradually get better and better at real estate. And this is the perfect starting ground because you learn the real estate transaction process. You learn how to network with fix and flippers. You learn what contractor crews the fix and flippers use. So when you want to fix and flip a house, guess what? You're not starting from ground zero. You're not looking around saying, hey, what contractors can I trust to do this renovation for me? You already know you've vetted contractors because you've wholesaled 5 deals to your cash buyers. You've seen the work they've done. They've done it on time and on budget. And now you can use those contractors for your first fix and flip. So it's the perfect starting ground. There's so much learning that happens here. And a lot of people don't connect the dots. Most people are just focused on the income, but they don't understand the bigger picture. So I want you to focus on that. Number 6, most importantly, you get the skill of acquiring property below market value. This is the most important skill, in my opinion, as a real estate investor, being able to acquire property below market value. There's a famous saying in the real estate industry, you make your money when you buy. So the lower you get a house under contract below market value, typically the higher your wholesale fee, right? The bigger the margin. And that's important, this skill. Now when you want to fix and flip a property and you've been wholesaling, you know how to acquire property below market value. So when you want to fix and flip property, there's nothing different that you need to do in this process of acquiring property when wholesaling as for a fix and flip. So you have the skill of acquiring property below market value, which then if you acquire a fix and flip below market value, it's going to increase the likelihood of your ROI in that fix and flip. So a very valuable skill, the skill of a real estate investor. Lastly, if you want to buy and hold and rent out property, which is one of the coolest things in real estate, so you get passive income and tax benefits, the lower you acquire your property below market value, typically the higher ROI, the more passive income. And automatically when you acquire a property below market value, there's then built-in equity, built-in value to that property. So all of these things make wholesale real estate so exciting, right? They make you a better real estate investor. And I've been doing this for 12 years, so it's a lot easier to connect the dots moving backwards. But wanted to share, if you get started in this, if you want to start a wholesale real estate business, if you want to dive into real estate, there's a lot of benefits to doing wholesale real estate, all right? So now let's dive into exactly how does it work, right? I told you in the beginning, I'm going to teach you what is wholesale real estate and how does it work. So let's break this process down. So step number 1, what you need to do is find cash buyers, all right? Now there's going to be people that are watching this and say, Alex, not all cash buyers are fix and flippers. And that's true. But I make a generalization when I say, hey, cash buyers are fix and flippers because they're my favorite type of cash buyer, because typically the good ones are buying 3 to 10 properties a month. And so that means if you get 3 properties under contract in a month, one fix and flipper, one cash buyer can buy all of those. Now there's also other types of cash buyers like hedge funds, which are institutional buyers. They're a little more sophisticated. If you have no idea what you're doing, they're probably not going to want to deal with you, but still great buyers. They're buying lots of houses at one time. Then you could have a landlord, right? This may be a person, a normal mom and pop investor looking to buy a rental property every 12 to 24 months. They could buy your property 12 to 24 months. But guess what? Some cash buyers are better than others. They're all not created equal. So if you find all fix and flippers as your cash buyers, and you want to do volume, you want to do a lot of deals, because if you actually want to make money in this business, it's not just going to be doing one deal every 12 months. You want to do deals consistently and repeatedly, month after month after month. And these fix and flippers, you find one, they could potentially buy all your wholesale deals. If you have landlords and you have a landlord that wants to buy one property every 12 months, then guess what? They can only buy a property every 12 months, all right? So we need to find these cash buyers. One thing you can do, for example, to find these cash buyers, you can go to Real Estate Investor Association meetings. You just Google Real Estate Investor Association meeting and then your city name. Attend those because real estate investors hang out there. You could also Google We Buy Houses Cash and type in your city name, and then you'll find websites of cash buyers that have those types of keywords on their website because they want to rank for motivated sellers that will type in those and have the motivated sellers selling their property. So there's a couple different ways to find cash buyers, and then I'll put some resources down below on how to find cash buyers too. Right before I dive into the second step of how does it work, let me tell you why we want to find our cash buyers first. So one of my favorite books is The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. I like it so much, I put the actual habits here on my wall. Habit number 3 is begin with the end in mind. Most people in life with their goals, when they want to work at something, they don't begin with the end in mind. So instead of me just running around like a chicken with my head cut off trying to find a property, than get under contract and then not have a cash buyer, not have the end in mind. What I want to teach you is to have the end in mind. You find the cash buyers first. What that allows you to do is to actually talk to them and find the exact deals that they want. You can ask them what types of deals that they want. That way you're not guessing and you're not hoping. That way you can close deals with certainty. So that's why it's step number one. Most people won't tell you that. That's step number one. But number two, what we want to do is find distressed houses, okay? This is important. Why distressed houses? We're not looking for retail, beautiful property. Fix and flippers don't want to fix and flip a retail property. Why? Because those properties typically won't go for cash, right? A normal home buyer that's getting the mortgage can buy that property. You're gonna have a lot of competition with normal home buyers. So when you find a distressed house that's in a distressed condition, meaning, hey, there's water damage, there might be fire damage, it's outdated, stuck in the 60s, it needs new wiring, new electrical wiring, right? All these different issues with it, then a bank won't lend on that property. A bank won't give a mortgage to someone to buy that property. So what we need to do is find distressed houses. And a quick little tip on how to find these distressed houses. One strategy, we have several ways to find these, but you can actually go ahead, go to redfin.com. There's a filter there that says fixer upper. You can click that and sort through all the fixer uppers in your area and start finding these distressed houses. All right, number three, what we need to do once we find that distressed house, we need to get it under contract, hopefully below market value. Remember, the more you get it below market value, the bigger your wholesale fee, right? Now, I'll give you a pro tip right now. When you're dealing with houses on the market, right, on Redfin, it's listed by a real estate agent, you're going to use a real estate agent contract like this. So when we wholesale property in California, we use the California Association of Realtors contract, okay? Now when dealing off market, dealing directly with the seller, you want to use an off market contract, just like this. And if you want an example of this, just go to realestateskills.com/contracts. We'll give you an example of ours. But the pro tip here is if you want to go on Redfin, find these fixer-uppers and get them under contract, do not bring this off-market contract to a real estate agent. They will laugh at you, right? A lot of people are starting out, do this. They're basically telling the agent they have no idea what they're doing. So when you work with a real estate agent, they actually write the contract for you. And when you're dealing directly with a seller, you have an off-market contract like this one. So I wanted to tell you that pro tip so you don't look like a newbie when you're going out there. Now, number four, what we want to do is assign the contract, all right? Now let me break this down a little bit more, okay? Let's say you found the cash buyer, you know they want properties that need fixing up. You know the zip codes, you know the areas they want to buy. You find a distressed house in that area and you get under contract. Let's say you get that house under contract at $280,000, okay? And let's say you sell that contract for $300,000 to your cash buyer. You, as a wholesaler, you make the difference between $280,000 and $300,000. All right, that's important for you to understand. So when you assign the contract, what assign the contract means is you transfer the contract rights from one party, aka you, to another party, your cash buyer. So this is our favorite way to actually close and to transfer the contract rights. This is what you need to do. You can assign the contract. Once again, I'll put those contracts down below. And then number 5 is close the deal and get paid. So we want to close the deal and get paid. So what we like to do, we trust our cash buyers so much. What you need to understand is when we put a house under contract, we typically have a 14-day close. So we put the property under contract here. We then assign 3 days later, assign the contract. And then on this date, 14 days later, the transaction is closed. So the seller gets paid their $280,000. We get paid our wholesale fee of $20,000. And now the cash buyer, the fix and flipper, now owns the property, right? The fix and flipper now owns it. So once the transaction's closed, you get paid your money on that, and then the fix and flipper starts their renovation on the deal. And once you're able to do that, now you can repeat the process over and over. Now, another pro tip is don't get too hung up on one deal, right? If you want to be serious at this, I've seen a lot of people, they get their first deal under contract and it's all they're thinking about, they're going to bed thinking about it, they wake up thinking about it, they're already daydreaming about what it will be like once they close this deal and they make $20,000, all the vacations they're going to be going on. And they think all their work is done and they think that, hey, more deals are just magically going to appear out of the sky and they'll get more under contract and they'll be closing 10 deals a month, but they're not doing any more work, all right? So the pro tip here is even though you have a deal under contract, even though you're working on assigning it, keep finding new distressed houses. Keep submitting more offers on these deals. You don't want to put all your eggs into one basket, all right? You just don't want to do that because sometimes the deals won't work for your cash buyers and you have to cancel it and then you're back at square one. So to be serious in this business with wholesale real estate, you want to keep on going and keep on going, keep submitting offers. And hopefully you're at the point where you have multiple deals that you're working on, multiple deals under contract. So if one doesn't close, the next one can. Now let's go a little bit deeper, right? I covered one of the main ways to close, which is called assigning the contract. It's also called assignment of contracts when you transfer the contract rights from one party to another. The reason why this is so great is you don't need to close on the property and then resell it. So the second way to close on deals is called a double close. It's exactly that. You close on the property one time and then you resell that property to your cash buyer. So to do this, you typically need to borrow funds from a private money lender or hard money lender. Those types of funds are typically called transactional funds, transactional lending. But assigning, we don't have to bring, when done the right way, we don't have to bring any capital to the table, and it's much easier. We love doing this. With double close, still a great way to close on the property. So in some states, it's better to do this rather than assigning. Also, the benefit of double closing is you can hide your wholesale fee. So that's not an issue with us. So when you're assigning the contract, the cash buyer is going to know you're making $20K in that example that we have here. When you double close, you mask how much money you're actually making. You don't have to tell them where you have the property under contract and the difference that they need to pay you. But we have so much trust with our cash buyers. They want us to win and they want to pay us money. They know sometimes they're going to pay us a lot more money, sometimes they're going to pay us less. But if you don't have trust with your cash buyers or you have like a humongous, ridiculous wholesale fee, then double closing is a great way to hide that wholesale fee just so there's no issues. The other thing to point out is there's more fees. You're closing escrow on this twice, so there's more fees in the deal. So let's just say in this example, instead of $20,000, you might make $16K after closing costs if you decide to double close that. So you could save some money by assigning real estate. So I know the next question I'm going to get. The next question I'm going to get, Alex, why do these cash buyers pay you for these wholesale deals? Why don't these cash buyers, these fix and flippers, just go out there and put all the properties under contract that you're actually getting under contract? What we need to do is take a step back and understand the cash buyer's business model. Okay, so what cash buyers have to do first, they have to go out and find the house and put under contract. All right, what else do they have to do? Let me tell you, most people don't know this. They have to raise money for the deal. A lot of cash buyers, right, if they're doing 10 properties a month and all those properties are worth $500,000, do you think that that cash buyer has $5 million just sitting in their bank account? They could, but what they like to do is raise that money, borrow the $5 million to be able to buy those properties, right? And so you have to network with a lot of private money lenders. You have to network with a lot of hard money lenders to be able to do that. You have to be raising capital and paying back these investors. So that's also what a cash buyer is doing on a daily basis for their company. Now what they have to do, they have to fix and renovate the property. They have to have the right contractor crews. They have to pay them on time. They have to make sure the work is being done on time. They have to hire. They have to fire, right? They're doing a lot. Now they have to do, once the property is all fixed up, they have to flip and sell the property. And if it's not selling at the price that they want, they have to negotiate. They have offers. So number 4 is they flip and sell the property. And in this case, now that cash buyer is negotiating with different buyers. They have to negotiate on the purchase price. They're trying to sell this house for top dollar. So when you ask, hey, why the heck does a cash buyer pay you? It's because of the time you save them by solving at least 1/4 of their business model, right? Cash buyers don't have all the time in the world to always be putting every house under contract in your area. So if you beat them to the punch, then you can get paid a wholesale fee because you're not only saving them time, but let me show you how you're actually saving them money. So a lot of cash buyers, what you need to understand is they're paying a lot of money in marketing to get deals. Rightfully so, a lot of businesses do that. And what are they doing? They have different websites. They're doing TV ads, actual television, all right? They're doing online ads. They're putting out bandit signs, right? They're putting out direct mail and, right, actual mailers. It's not unheard of for investors to be spending $30K a month and up in order to get real estate deals. So when you can bring them a real estate deal that they didn't have to pay any money in marketing, right? In this situation, they didn't have to pay 30 grand for in marketing, but you can actually bring them this deal. Maybe they pay you $20,000 in this situation. They pay you that, but they're making $40,000, $50,000, or $60,000 on the deal, right? The reason why you get paid is because that fix and flipper is going to make money when they fix and flip that property. They're not paying you because they're a charity. They're paying you because you're putting food on the table for their business. They need deals, right? Especially if they're doing 3 to 10 deals a month. A lot of fix and flippers, the way they get deals, one of their channels is from wholesalers. So we covered the cash buyer's business model. We covered why you get paid. I wanted to cover that because people would be asking me, why the heck do you get paid? So you save them a lot of time and a lot of money, just like most businesses, right? And if this isn't clicking yet, wholesale real estate, you need to understand that wholesaling happens in pretty much every industry, okay? So for example, this pen, I wanted to get a good pen for this video to be able to write pretty clearly because all of these dry up pretty quickly. But what I had to do was I had to go to a store to buy this, okay? Now that store bought this for $2 from a wholesaler. That wholesaler bought it for $1 from a supplier. And then that wholesaler made $1 when they sold it to the store. Now how much does the store sell it for? They sell it for $4. All right, so you need to understand cars, pens, pencils, wholesaling and wholesale is happening in every single industry, in clothing. All we're doing is wholesaling houses. And now what I also want you to understand is that don't confuse my simplicity of explaining this for easiness, right? This took a lot of hard work and a lot of time invested to be able to do this. When I started over 10 years ago, there really weren't YouTube videos on this. I learned from doing. I learned from getting mentors. I learned from attending Real Estate Investor Association meetings. I learned from reading the books. I learned from getting feedback on every offer I sent. I learned from the deals that worked. I learned from the deals that didn't work. I learned from wholesaling houses to cash buyers and then seeing their numbers, their ARV, where they sold the property at. So there's a lot of learning. And what you need to understand is a lot of people are looking for shortcuts in life and for easiness. There's a lot of people that won't even make it to the end of this video that are already scrolling on TikTok and getting their brains fatter and fatter and not learning anything. So I do want to congratulate you for making it to this point in the video because you're already different than most people. So you're willing to do what it takes to be able to learn concepts like these. Now, additionally, most people are going to watch this video and do nothing with it, right? They're going to go watch that next TikTok video. So if you like what we had to cover here, I also made a free training going deeper into the how-to. What I want you to know is this free training I created covers the ins and outs. We go into different concepts that I didn't cover in here because I didn't have all the time in the world. But also it's going to show you the 4 different shifts that are happening in the market right now and how you can use those as an opportunity rather than an obstacle to get started. So there you have it. We covered what is wholesale real estate, how does it work. I'll see you in the next one.